Marshmallows. You can't hear a campfire story without them. But these aren't modern tweets. These gooey treats have a surprisingly long history that goes way back to ancient Egypt. We're talking thousands of years before roasting sticks and graham crackers. Forget futuristic space food, marshmallows are one of the most ancient treats in the world. They started as a mixture made with sap, starch, and wheat. But how does this simple recipe transform into the fluffy candies we love? Let's find out in today's video. First things first, the ingredients need to be gathered. Forget the marshmallow plant stuff of old times. These days, marshmallows are all about a few key ingredients: corn syrup, cornstarch, and water. They form the base of the squishy treat. Some other ingredients might be joining the mix depending on the recipe. Wheat flour or egg whites can add something extra to the texture. Next, we have the flavor enhancers. The colors, the tastings, everything to keep things interesting. These make sure the marshmallows look and taste amazing. Finally, the secret weapon: gelatin. This is the ingredient that gives marshmallows their bounce. It's the same stuff that makes gummy bears wiggle. Even if gelatin itself comes from animal bones, don't worry. The marshmallow making process is totally sweet. With all the ingredients gathered, it's time to mix them up. Mixing might sound boring, but mess up even a little and your marshmallows could turn out funky. That's why factories are super careful with this step. They control the temperature, speed, and moisture to get things just right. It all happens in two parts. First, the main crew, corn syrup, cornstarch, and any wheat flour or egg whites, get a good stir for a few minutes. Once they're a thick paste, a specific amount of water needs to be added. Next comes the heat. The entire mixture gets whisked together and cranked up to 240 degrees Fahrenheit. This cooks everything through. The separate ingredients get transformed into a smooth, uniform marshmallow batter. But perfection is key in the marshmallow world. Even the tiniest lumps can ruin the texture. To catch sneaky lumps that escape, they push the mixture through a super fine sieve. This ensures a smooth base for the next step: whipping up the marshmallows. Till now, we haven't added the fun stuff: the flavors, colors, and gelatin. Those get added after the mixture becomes a smooth, even paste, and whipping is where the magic really happens. If you've ever made whipped cream, that's kind of what goes down here. The mixture gets blasted with super fast mixing, not slow and gentle. This injects a ton of air, similar to how you fluff up whipped cream. Air is practically the fourth ingredient in marshmallows. That's why they're so light. It's the same trick used in meringue, angel food cake, and even scrambled eggs. But there's more to this whipping step than just air. While the mixture gets pummeled by industrial mixers, the gelatin activates. It starts to bind everything together, acting like glue. At the same time, it traps all that air that was just added, creating the foundation for that delightful marshmallow fluff. Remember the runny liquid you saw at the start? Gelatin transforms it into a chewy, structured candy. Once the mixture gets fluffier and bigger, doubling or tripling its size, it's ready to move on to the next step. Before the 1950s, marshmallows were a lot of effort. Each one needed longer to form their skin, and they were more chewy than fluffy. Then came the extruding machine, a game changer for marshmallows. With high pressure, these machines could pump in tons of air, creating that light and airy texture. Plus, they ditched the egg whites, making the process faster and the marshmallows lighter than ever. Once the mixture is whipped and slightly cooled so it's still flexible, it's loaded onto a conveyor belt that will carry it through the next steps. A series of shapers then transform it into one long, flat sheet. Think of it as a giant marshmallow slab. This marshmallow slab takes a trip through a heat exchanger, where cool air blasts through it. This makes it even fluffier while helping it set and hold its shape. Before it cools completely, the slab gets pushed through a mold. This transforms it into long marshmallow tubes. These tubes can be twisted or combined to create fun shapes and double-flavored candies. They are then whisked through an extruder. In a second, a sharp slicer chops them into those familiar cylindrical shapes. So many marshmallows are being made at the same time, so you can't let them stick together. They get dusted with a sugar cornstarch mixture. This mixture even gives them that smooth, candy-like texture. We're almost at the finish line, but a little heat is still there. This brings us to the final step in the cooking process: cooling them down completely. After getting their shapes, the marshmallow pillows fall into a giant drum. The drum spins them around quickly, helping them reach room temperature. This cool down also serves another purpose. It brushes off any extra sugar cornstarch dust and spreads it evenly over all the marshmallows. Once they're nice and cool, they hop onto another conveyor belt. So we know one thing now: Making marshmallows might seem like a piece of cake, but don't let that fool you. Even tiny changes in ingredients or mixing can lead to disaster. No one wants gooey messes and rock-hard candies. That's why before hitting the shelves, each batch goes through a series of tests. One of them is called the snap test. A worker cuts a marshmallow in half and presses it. They're looking for a bounce back. How long does it take to spring back into shape? This simple test tells them if it's got the perfect marshmallow texture. Every candy has to prove that it's ready to be shipped to the world. While homemade marshmallows might go bad if you don't eat them fast enough, factory-made ones are built to last. Thanks to the clean environment, added preservatives, and sealed packaging, these fluffy pillows can stay fresh for a surprisingly long time. Here's how they get there. First, high-quality airtight bags are prepped. A long sheet of material gets cut and sealed simultaneously using a hot metal tool. Folding machines then transform this into a bag ready to be filled with fluffy candies. Next comes the precision part. A digital scale carefully weighs out a specific amount of marshmallows. This makes sure each bag gets the perfect amount. Then a pump injects nitrogen gas into the bag. This pushes out any oxygen, which can spoil the marshmallows. With the bag inflated with nitrogen, a pair of heated rods seals it shut immediately. A printer then personalizes each bag with a best before date and a unique code. Now, these marshmallow packages are ready to go out. A rotating platform gathers them all up and sends them off to their final destination, cardboard boxes. These boxes get packed, sealed, and shipped to stores near you, ready to be transformed into gooey s'mores or enjoyed on their own. You can find these humble marshmallows sitting on top of most treats and desserts. From some basic ingredients to sweet treats, making marshmallows combines old-fashioned fun with modern machines. So, the next time you pop a marshmallow in your mouth, remember its rich and surprising history. If you enjoyed learning about this process, keep your eyes peeled for the next one on our channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Everyone knows the value of gasoline. It's that brown fluid that powers cars, trucks, jets, and even your lawnmower. But did you know it's also used in plastics, rubbers, and even some medicines? So how exactly is gasoline made? In today's video, let's talk all about how this resource is made and what factors drive up the price sky high. What is gasoline? We all know it's a flammable liquid we get from refining oil, but it wasn't always considered important. Instead, it was treated pretty differently in the early days. Considered just a byproduct of kerosene production, it was actually tossed aside. But its ability to vaporize at low temperatures made it the perfect thing for engines. Today, gasoline powers most of our cars. But where does it all come from? Well, the heart of gasoline is petroleum, a fossil fuel formed from ancient plants and animals squeezed under massive pressure for millions of years. It's the world's leading energy source, and the US is its biggest fan, using up millions of barrels every day. Most of the world's crude oil lies beneath the Persian Gulf, but there are other major reserves in Alaska and the Gulf of Mexico. So, gasoline is made up of hydrocarbons, which are chains of carbon atoms. These chains come in different lengths, affecting their boiling points. Gasoline has 6 to 10 carbon atoms, so it sits between lighter gases and heavier oils in terms of its boiling point. The refining process is all about breaking down crude oil into these hydrocarbon lengths. In the past, organic lead compounds were added to reduce engine knocking, but environmental concerns have made this practice rare. Instead, other chemicals are added to stabilize gasoline and enhance its color and smell. This process is known as sweetening. The first step in gasoline production is finding its source material, petroleum. Crude oil is typically trapped in porous rock formations known as reservoir rock. Explorers search for potential oil concentrations by some innovative methods, analyzing surface features, sound waves reflecting off the rock, and using gravity meters all help detect differences in rock formations. Once a potential reservoir is identified, the area is test drilled. Core samples are taken and chemically analyzed to confirm the presence of oil. Then, once a reservoir is confirmed, wells are drilled. These wells often reach over 1,000 feet into the rock. Rotary drills bore holes into the ground, and water is added to create a thick mud. This mud prevents the oil from gushing out due to pressure. When the oil reservoir is reached, the drill is removed and a pipe is inserted for oil extraction. Oil is recovered using a system of pipes and valves installed directly into the well. The natural pressure of the reservoir pushes the oil into the pipes. These pipes are connected to a recovery system that separates the oil from gas. Once crude oil is extracted, it needs to be transported to refineries and storage facilities. Transportation methods include pipelines, trains, and tankers. But pipelines are the most preferred because of safety and cost-effectiveness. Tankers are awesome for long-distance transport across oceans, but trains aren't ideal. Too big a risk for spills and accidents. Refining transforms crude oil into usable petroleum products like gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel. The refining process is all about boiling points and separating parts of crude oil. Premium and regular gasoline are the most common types produced. Sometimes ethanol is added to reduce emissions and boost fuel efficiency. The first stage of refining is distillation. Crude oil is heated and vaporized in a distillation tower. As the vapor rises and cools, different hydrocarbons condense at various levels. Now we have separated into components. Heavier hydrocarbons like asphalt and tar condense at the bottom, but lighter ones like natural gas collect at the top. Then there's the cracking stage. Large hydrocarbon molecules are broken down into smaller ones to produce gasoline. This process is super important. It makes sure that the gasoline has desirable properties such as low sulfur content and a high octane rating. Two methods are used here. One is catalytic cracking, which uses a catalyst to speed up the process. The second is thermal cracking, which relies on high temperatures. After distillation and cracking, refiners blend hydrocarbons based on factors like altitude, season, and vehicle type. The blending process determines the gasoline's volatility, emissions characteristics, and overall performance. Most gasoline contains 5 to 15 hydrocarbons, each adding some unique properties to the final product. Now it's time for the fractional distillation. This process separates crude oil into different components by heating the oil in a large distillation tower. The process involves vaporizing the oil with different hydrocarbon chains condensing in the tower based on their boiling points. Lighter hydrocarbons like gasoline are collected near the top of the tower. After fractional distillation, the gasoline gets even more refined for peak quality. Catalytic cracking, one of the most important refining steps, uses catalysts, high temperatures, and pressure to break down larger molecules into gasoline components. Another process, polymerization, combines smaller molecules of lighter gases into larger ones suitable for use as liquid fuels. Once gasoline is refined, other chemicals are added to improve its performance and stability. Anti-knock compounds are added to prevent engine knock. This is a condition where the fuel burns too quickly, causing inefficient combustion. In the past, tetraethyl lead was used as an anti-knock additive in leaded gasoline. But unleaded gasoline is refined more, minimizing the need for such additives. Other additives are included to prevent the formation of gum, a resin that can coat engine parts and break them down. Gasoline is mainly composed of two volatile liquids, heptane and isooctane. Heptane burns quickly and causes a lot of knocking in engines, while isooctane burns more slowly and reduces knocking. The ratio of heptane to isooctane determines the octane rating of gasoline. A higher percentage of isooctane results in a higher octane rating and less engine knocking. On average, 44.4% of petroleum is converted into gasoline. That's a big chunk. But here's an interesting fact. There are no true waste products from petroleum. Lighter byproducts like natural gas, jet fuel, and kerosene are all valuable. Heavier byproducts are used in the production of lubricants, plastics, and asphalt. And even the less valuable petroleum products can be converted into more desirable compounds. Today's tech is focused on squeezing the most out of remaining oil reserves and finding alternative energy sources. Scientists are working on pinpointing oil reservoir sizes and automating oil recovery, all to increase the amount of oil extracted from these known reserves. To do so, newer tools are pretty helpful. Echometers and SCADA systems are making oil extraction more efficient, safer, and less labor-intensive. These methods allow us to extract more oil than ever before by injecting gases or drilling horizontally. But let's face it, gasoline's days are numbered. Petroleum is a non-renewable resource, so the real future lies in clean energy sources. As oil supplies decrease, steam power, electric vehicles, and solar and wind energy are stepping up to fuel the machines of tomorrow. Well, that's all from us. If you want to know more about what goes on in factories, check out the other videos on our channel. Until then, thank you for watching.